What's happening, guys, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. DC Comics has been changing the game since day one. They have been putting out these insane comic book events, killing our beloved heroes, bringing them back to life, kind of evil. I mean, Superboy Prime literally punched reality apart and retconned so many stories. DC is not afraid to change it up. That's what I love about them. And over the last 10 years, we've met quite a few interesting heroes and villains. That being said, I'm Taylor McWaters, and here are the top 10 newest DC characters you need to know about. Let's do it. Number 10, Liar Liar. Emma Duropoulos. Okay, this chick is badass right off the hop. She first appeared in Wonder Woman 759. She's the long-lost daughter of Maxwell Lord, and growing up, Emma's mother Susan kept the fact that her father was still alive from her. Now, she did find out eventually, but her mother insisted that he died of cancer, never even telling Emma his real name. And on top of that, Emma was growing into her powers, and her mother also ignored those. She didn't believe that she had powers until one day Emma showed her an up-close look at them. She made her mother collide with an oncoming truck, and sadly Emma was the only survivor. Next step was to break her father out of jail and earn his trust by, of course, helping him take down Wonder Woman. Emma used her psychic wave manipulation powers and combined them with Maxwell Lord's previous passion project, a weapon called Odysseus. So now Emma can cause any user to hallucinate. Her dad even makes fun of her for this, calling her a child, some sort of millennial superhero joke, I guess, I don't know. I mean, she almost blasted off a nuke in Arizona, so you better watch your mouth, Maxwell. Number 9, Synmar Utopica. First appearing in Superman issue 25 just last year in Mythological Part 1, the Synmar are an alien species who witnessed the destruction of Krypton. In fact, they saw young Kal-El zipping through space, and they discussed the possibility of intercepting. They're like, who is this kid? Where is he heading? Earth? What's on Earth? There's nothing there. Yeah, apparently we're too primitive to be part of their defense registrar, which is neat. I didn't know this was a roast. Awesome. So cut 2 years later, Clark has grown up. Now the Synmar, still watching from the cosmic bushes, they decide, you know what, they need to elect their own leader to go toe-to-toe with Superman if need be. Enter Eisno Alcor, a soldier for the Synmar. He showed promise, so they chose him to be their weapon against the Kryptonian. That was their original intention for the young soldier. But Superman was deemed a hero on Earth, so the Synmar thought, maybe we should just chill out. He's clearly doing a good job. We'll keep an eye on him though still, but for sure he's not a threat. So they decided, let's just send Eisno out to do other stuff regardless. Deal, sounds good. Eventually Eisno got back from a mission, and there was this big celebration, a big party, but he finally asked his superior why he's the only hero on his home world. And President Dreddy finally explained that he was initially picked to fight Superman, but he turned out to be a protector, so we just used him instead for other missions in the galaxy. So Eisno is feeling confused. He's like, Superman, who is this guy? What? So he leaves the party, he's deep in thought, then all of a sudden, while he's busy being sad in the cornfield, all of his friends and crew are attacked back at the party. So he gets back, everybody's toast, and there's pics of Superman all around. So now he has a reason to attack Superman. You gotta love those super misunderstandings. Always a good one. Before we continue on with this list, you know the drill. If you want to go ahead and hit that like button, it helps us out quite a bit here at the studio, and then in turn, we can bring some nerdy news back into your eyes and soul. So hit that like button, and then we can bring you some good stuff. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the list. Number 8, Punchline. Alexis K entered DC Comics only a year ago, right after Harley Quinn finally left the Joker. In Harley's animated series, we see them part ways in the first episode. Birds of Prey as well, we get to focus on Harley's life post-Joker. It's been a long time coming, and fans are here for it. That's great, but now we also have an opening for Joker's sidekick. Okay, enter Alexis K. She made her comic debut in Batman Volume 3, issue 89. Originally a student at Snyder College, Alexa met the Joker for the first time on a field trip to a TV studio. It was pretty intense. Alexis was forced by the Joker to read a message to the citizens of Gotham. I mean, luckily Batman came in to save the day, but as far as field trips go, that's a lot of trauma to take home, right? Alexis actually started a podcast after, not to, cope and talk and deal with the situation, but rather she believed the Joker was onto something. She was on board with all of his devious plans. She was diving in deep with all of his past crimes, and eventually she made her own outfit and started to poison the people of Gotham. So many of my friends listen to crime podcasts. I'm gonna start asking some questions. Number 7, Tommy Maxx. First appearing in Red Hood Outlaw issue 51, titled Minutes from Downtown Gotham, Tommy is a Batman rogue that doubles as a sneakerhead. That's right, fashion never felt so badass before. Thomas Measle makes his fortune selling shoe lines based off popular DC villains. His Poison Ivy line was just dazzling the ladies, of course. And no, he didn't make Killer Crocs either. I already checked, I thought of that too. He did, however, use Killer Croc as his own personal bodyguard after freeing him from jail. I think I'm a fan of Tommy because I too worked at a shoe store years back. I'm not nearly as cool as him though. I'm like, oh, 11 and a half? You got it, man. Be right back. Number 6, Frost King. Edwald Olafsson first entered comics in Justice League Endless Winter Chapter 1. He's a newer character, and as you could probably guess, he is a giant frost beast. I'm trying really hard not to say frost giant, clearly. His story begins thousands of years earlier, back in the day when you fought with Black Adam, Viking Prince, and Swamp Thing. But he ended up getting buried for 1,000 years in the same glacier that later on became the Fortress of Solitude. Poor guy was just stuck on the walls while everybody was watching Game of Thrones. He's probably so bored. Eventually the fortress was destroyed and the Frost King was released, this time with a hint of Kryptonian energy, which is always fun. Number 5, the designer. So we mentioned that sneakerhead of Gotham, so it's only fair to bring up this class act next. Appearing for the first time in Batman Volume 3, Issue 89 in April 2020, the designer was this masked criminal who at the age of 60 had earned himself legendary status for being able to plan and execute so many master plans. He was killing it. He also created this chemical that allowed him to use corpses to move around and carry out said master plans. He's got zombie backup, that's cool, I guess. Early on in Batman's career, the designer would watch Batman take down all these rogues, so he approached them. He talked to them all. He talked to Catwoman, the Joker, Penguin, and the Riddler. They all met at his hideout just outside of Gotham City, and he offered them way better plans. And when it came down to the Joker's desires, well, the Joker wanted his job. He wanted to take his place. So the designer ordered that undead army to attack, but Joker shot him and supposedly ended his life. Now cut to Batman Volume 3, Issue 85, the designer returns, only Batman finds out that it's just, you guessed it, a corpse being controlled by the Joker. Everyone's using corpses to fight battles, it's gross. Imagine the smell. Number 4, Sideways. Derek James, aka Sideways, came into comics back in his own series in 2018. He was in Gotham with his adoptive mother Helen when Challenger's Mountain returned from the dark multiverse. So the following earthquake split the two up, leaving Derek to fall into the ground, right into a rift into the multiverse. 4 days passed and then Derek was finally able to return, but the question was, how? Derek obtained the ability to teleport through dimensions. He does so by creating tears in space-time. He can literally open the door to a new universe. After a month of having this power, his friend Ernestine made him a costume, cause, you know, of course. And in his first live stream as the hero Sideways, he took on the Tempest Fugonaut, who was upset because Derek was toying with space-time, which, I mean, it's more than fair. Number 3, The Signal. Duke Thomas entered DC Comics not too recently, but back in 2013 in Batman Volume 2, Issue 21. He lost his parents at a young age, similar to Batman, but he lost his to the Joker. So he joined and then led the We Are Robin movement. That's when hundreds of teens took on the Robin mantle, sporting the capital R, and took to the streets while Batman was absent. Nice movement, awesome. Now Duke left this movement because he was eventually recruited to train under Batman himself and joined the fam. Not a bad upgrade. Now Duke, aka The Signal, is a member of the newly reformed outsider teams being led by Black Lightning. His father was the villain Nomon, but before his birth, his mother Elaine ran for it to Gotham in order to get away from Nomon. She became a social worker and then married a man named Doug Thomas, who wasn't a supervillain. Nice. They both raised Duke in Gotham Narrows. Later on, when the Riddler was challenging the city, he asked all these citizens to bring forth a riddle that even he can't solve, and then only then will he turn the power back on in the city. So Duke was ready for this. He was smart, he was ready to go, but Batman respected that, but he also ended up just taking on the Riddler himself. Since 0 Year, Duke goes by the alias Lark simply because he doesn't want Batman to repeat the past failures with the Robin mantle. It's almost cursed, I don't blame him. He also fights crime during the day, which, yeah, crime happens during the day too. This guy's great, we definitely need him on the streets. Number 2, the Talon. William Cobb made his debut back in 2011 in Batman Volume 2, Issue 2. The Talon is an assassin for the Court of Owls who claims to have killed several Wayne family members, including Bruce Wayne's great-great-grandfather, Alan Wayne. The Court of Owls just may be the villains of the new Batman movie, so let's refresh our memory here. William Cobb began his early days juggling baseballs on the street just to get by, and after his father had passed away tragically while building a bridge for Cameron Kane, he would resort to these tricks to earn some money on the side and then sneak into his mother's purse as well. What a gem. But then one day somebody was watching his act and then he got pickpocketed. So William Cobb hucked one of his baseballs at him, saving the day, and the man offered him a job afterwards at a circus as a thank you. What a weird interaction. He started using knives instead of baseballs to, you know, amp up the act, and eventually he met his love Amelia, back when he returned to Gotham, now a celebrity. Amelia's father didn't like the two of them in love, so he told William to get out of there, he told him to beat it, and Amelia at this time was also pregos. Yeah, so Cobb joined the Court of Owls, became one of the Talons, and then went back to Amelia's house to kidnap his son, and his son ended up becoming the Gray Son of Gotham, John Grayson's father. Whew, a lot of history, Thank you for listening. Boom. And finally, number 1, Astrid Arkham. Making her first appearance with Detective Comics issue 1000, Astrid Arkham, like her name hints, was born in Arkham Asylum. Both of her parents were doctors working there at the time, and her mother, Ingrid, was loved in the asylum, even by the Joker. She's like the cool cafeteria lady. Everyone loves her, you know? Her father, Jeremiah Arkham, was a descendant of Arkham Asylum's founder, Amadeus Arkham, so they were kind of a big deal there. When Ingrid was pregnant with Astrid, the timing couldn't have been worse, however, as a riot began in the prison. It was nice to see because at this point, all these supervillains were protecting Ingrid while she went into labor. I'm talking Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, the Joker, Solomon Grundy, Clayface, they were all keeping her safe. After she gave birth, a rogue Batarang slipped by, and that was sadly the last we saw of Ingrid. Now her father had to raise the child alone, meaning she had to be homeschooled in the asylum, meaning her only friends were inmates. But they felt like they owed her mother the kindness at least, so it wasn't a scary thing. She grew up hating Batman, of course, but that hatred grew even more once Astrid found footage of that fateful birthday. After that, she became a skilled fighter, started a cult called the Knights of the Sun, and went after the one who threw said cursed Batarang. Eventually, she called herself the Arkham Knight. Guys, those are just 10 new DC characters you need to know about. If a part 2 is in your deepest desires, hit that thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and then we'll do the rest. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters. Keep being you, and we'll see you next time on Top 10 Nerd. Peace.